The Ugly Duckling. Once upon a time, in a cozy little farmyard, a mother duck sat on her nest, eagerly waiting for her eggs to hatch. One by one, the eggs began to crack, and out popped 6 fluffy yellow ducklings. They were all adorable and chirped happily. However, one egg, the biggest of them all, had not yet hatched. Mother Duck was curious and waited patiently. Finally, the egg cracked open, and out came a big, gray, and awkward-looking duckling. He was different from the others, larger and not yellow at all. The other ducklings looked at him in surprise and whispered among themselves. As days went by, the farmyard animals noticed the differences too. The gray duckling was often teased and called names like Ugly Duckling. He was pecked at, pushed around, and made to feel unwelcome. Even his own siblings were unkind to him. The Ugly Duckling felt lonely and miserable. One day, unable to bear the cruelty any longer, he decided to run away. He fled the farmyard and wandered through fields and meadows. He came across a marsh where some wild ducks lived. He hoped they would be kinder to him, but they too rejected him for his appearance. Winter came, and the Ugly Duckling had to survive in the cold, harsh conditions. He found shelter by a lake that did not completely freeze over, but it was a tough and lonely time. He longed for warmth and companionship. Finally, spring arrived, and the sun began to shine warmly again. The Ugly Duckling, now grown, stretched his wings and flew into the air. He felt stronger and more confident than ever before. As he flew over a sparkling lake, he saw a group of beautiful swans. He admired them from a distance, longing to be like them. Summoning his courage, he approached the swans, expecting to be rejected once more. But to his surprise, they welcomed him warmly. He looked at his reflection in the water and realized that he had transformed into a beautiful swan. He was no longer the ugly duckling he once was. The swans admired his grace and beauty, and he finally felt accepted and loved. The Ugly Duckling had found his true family and place in the world. He swam Once upon a time, there was a beautiful princess who lived in a beautiful palace. There was a lake surrounding the palace garden. The princess had a golden ball, and she loved to play with it. One day, while playing in the garden, the ball fell into the lake. Feeling very upset and helpless, the young lady started weeping loudly for dropping her favorite ball into the lake. Upon hearing her wail, a frog hopped out of the lake and asked, "Why are you crying, sweet princess?" She told him about her golden ball which fell into the water, and she did not know how to get it back. The frog quickly said, "I can help you to get your golden ball, but what will you give me in return?" The princess promised to give the frog anything that he desired. The frog immediately dived into the lake and fetched the ball for the young princess. Seeing her ball, the princess was very happy. The frog then reminded her about her promise. The princess asked him, "What do you want me to do for you?" The frog replied, "Well, I want to be your friend, eat from your golden plate, and sleep in your palace. However, The princess did not quite like his idea, but she agreed and rushed back to her palace. The next morning, the frog came to the palace and knocked on the door. The princess saw the frog, but she didn't open the door for him. He shouted from outside, "I have come to live with you in your palace, dear princess." Hearing this, the princess started crying and ran to her father. When the kind-hearted king heard about the promise, he told her gently, "A promise is a promise, and you must keep your word, my dear. You must allow the frog to stay with you in the palace." The princess was annoyed, but she had no other choice but to let the nasty frog stay with her. That evening the frog sat next to the princess and had dinner from her golden plate. Thereafter, he followed her to the bedroom and jumped into her bed to sleep on her pillow. Seeing this, the princess got furious and picked him up from her bed and threw him against the wall in disgust. Suddenly, the nasty frog turned into a handsome prince. He told the princess that he was actually under the spell of a vicious witch who had turned him into a frog. He was troubling her because he wanted someone to help him break the spell. Hearing this, the princess felt sorry for her misbehavior and fell in love with the prince instantly. Soon after, they got married and lived happily ever after. Once upon a time, in a lush green forest, there lived a variety of animals. This forest was home to Leo the lion, Ellie the elephant, Zara the zebra, Max the monkey, and Bella the bird. They were all good friends and spent their days exploring the forest and having fun. One sunny morning, Max the monkey had an idea. He wanted to organize a treasure hunt for all his friends. He gathered everyone and explained his plan. Each animal would get a clue that would lead them to different parts of the forest, and at the end of the hunt, they would find a big surprise. Excited by the idea, all the animals agreed. Max started by giving the first clue to Bella the bird. It read, "Fly high and look for the tallest tree. There, you will find your next clue." Bella spread her wings and flew to the tallest tree in the forest. As she perched on a branch, she found a small note hidden in the leaves. It read, "To find the next clue, go to the place where the river flows and the fish swim." Bella chirped with excitement and flew back to tell the others. Ellie the elephant led the way to the river. When they arrived, they searched along the riverbank and soon found a shiny pebble with a note attached. It said, "Look for the spot where the flowers bloom in a rainbow of colors." Zara the zebra, with her keen sense of smell, led the group to a beautiful meadow filled with colorful flowers. Among the petals, they found another note. This one read, "Head to the cave where the bats sleep during the day." Leo the lion, being brave and strong, led the way to the cave. As they approached, they could hear the faint rustling of the bats inside. At the entrance of the cave, they found the final note. It said, "The treasure you seek is where the sun sets and the moon rises." The animals looked at each other, puzzled for a moment, and then Bella the bird chirped, "The clearing on the west side of the forest. That's where we need to go." Together, they raced to the clearing just as the sun was setting. As the last rays of sunlight disappeared, they saw a large, sparkling chest hidden among the trees. They opened it together, and inside, they found a pile of delicious fruits, nuts, and a beautiful necklace made of colorful beads. Max the monkey smiled and said, "Next video." In a ancient tribe of animals who lived in harmony with the forest. They believed in the power
Once upon a time, in a small village on the edge of an enchanted forest, there lived a young girl named Scarlet, affectionately known as Little Red Riding Hood because of the vibrant red cloak her grandmother had made for her. Scarlet was known for her kind heart and adventurous spirit, always eager to explore the world around her. One bright morning, Scarlet's mother called her into the kitchen. "Scarlet, your grandmother is feeling ill. I've prepared a basket of food and some herbal remedies for her. Would you be a dear and take it to her cottage?" Of course, mother," Scarlet replied, putting on her red cloak and picking up the basket. "I'll go straight to Grandma's and come back before dark." Scarlet set off into the forest, following the familiar path to her grandmother's cottage. The forest was alive with the sounds of chirping birds and rustling leaves, and Scarlet hummed a tune as she walked. As she ventured deeper into the forest, Scarlet met various woodland creatures who greeted her warmly. There were rabbits, deer, and even a curious fox who watched her from a distance. Scarlet enjoyed the company of the animals and often stopped to chat with them. Unbeknownst to Scarlet, a cunning wolf named Reynard had been observing her from the shadows. Reynard had a reputation for being sly and deceptive, and he was always on the lookout for an easy meal. Reynard approached Scarlet with a charming smile. "A good day, Little Red Riding Hood. Where are you off to on this fine morning?" "I'm going to my grandmother's cottage to bring her some food and medicine," Scarlet replied, unaware of the danger lurking behind Reynard's friendly facade. "How thoughtful of you," Reynard said, his eyes gleaming with mischief. "But the path you're on is quite long and winding. I know a shortcut that will get you there much faster." Scarlet hesitated for a moment, then decided to trust the wolf. "Thank you, Mr. Wolf. I appreciate your help." Reynard led Scarlet down a narrow, overgrown path that twisted and turned through the heart of the forest. Scarlet marveled at the beauty of the untamed wilderness, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. Meanwhile, Reynard devised a plan. He would take a different route to reach Grandma's cottage before Scarlet, disguise himself as her grandmother, and then capture both Scarlet and her grandmother. As Scarlet continued on the shortcut, she noticed a patch of beautiful wildflowers. Remembering how much her grandmother loved flowers, she decided to pick a bouquet. She strayed from the path, gathering the vibrant blooms, unaware that Reynard was speeding ahead to her grandmother's cottage. Reynard arrived at the cottage and knocked on the door. Grandma, who was feeling weak, called out, "Who is it?" "It's me, Little Red Riding Hood," Reynard replied, mimicking Scarlet's voice. "I've brought you some food and medicine." Grandma, sensing something was wrong, tried to get up, but Reynard burst through the door and locked her in a closet. He quickly put on one of Grandma's nightgowns and a sleeping cap, then slipped into her bed, pulling the covers up to his chin. Scarlet finally arrived at the cottage, her basket full of goodies and a bouquet of wildflowers in her hand. She knocked on the door. "Grandma, it's me, Scarlet." "Come in, my dear," Reynard called out, disguising his voice. Scarlet entered the cottage and approached the bed. "Grandma, I brought you some food and medicine. And look, I picked some flowers for you." Thank you, my dear," Reynard said, trying to sound as grandmotherly as possible. Come closer so I can see you better." Scarlet stepped closer, but something seemed off. "Grandma, what big eyes you have." "The better to see you with, my dear," Reynard replied. "And Grandma, what big ears you have." "The better to hear you with, my dear." "But Grandma, what big teeth you have." Scarlet exclaimed, finally realizing the truth. "The better to eat you with, my dear." Reynard roared, throwing off the covers and lunging at Scarlet. Just as Reynard was about to pounce on Scarlet, the door burst open, and a tall, strong figure stood in the doorway. It was Stephen, the village woodcutter, who had been passing by and heard the commotion. "Get away from her, you vile creature!" Stephen shouted, wielding his axe. Reynard, startled by the sudden appearance of the woodcutter, snarled and backed away. Stephen lunged at the wolf, and after a fierce struggle, managed to subdue him. Reynard, realizing he was defeated, fled into the forest, never to be seen again. Scarlet, trembling with relief, hugged Stephen. Thank you, Stephen. You saved my life." "It's all right, Scarlet. Let's get your grandmother out of the closet." They freed Grandma, who was shaken but unharmed. Scarlet gave her the food, medicine, and flowers, and they all sat together, grateful for the happy ending. After the excitement had died down, Stephen, Scarlet, and Grandma sat by the fire, sipping tea. Grandma turned to Scarlet with a gentle smile. My dear, you must be more careful in the forest. Not everyone is as kind as they seem." "I understand, Grandma," Scarlet said, nodding. "I'll be more cautious from now on." Stephen added, and remember, Scarlet, you can always ask for help if you're unsure. There are many good people in the village who care about you." Scarlet smiled, feeling the warmth of their love and concern. She knew she had learned a valuable lesson about trust and caution. The villagers welcomed Scarlet and her grandmother back with open arms, celebrating their safe return. The tale of Little Red Riding Hood, her brave encounter with the wolf, and the timely rescue by the woodcutter became a legend in the village. Children and adults alike told and retold the story, each time reminding themselves of the importance of wisdom, courage, and kindness. Scarlet continued to visit her grandmother regularly, but she always stayed on the main path and made sure to let others know where she was going. Her adventures became more careful, yet her love for the forest and its creatures never waned. Years passed, and Scarlet grew up, but she never forgot the lessons she learned that fateful day. She became a wise and compassionate woman, known for her bravery and her red cloak, which she continued to wear with pride. The forest remained a place of wonder and mystery, but thanks to Scarlet's vigilance and the villagers' newfound caution, it also remained a safe place for all who ventured within. And so the story of Little Red Riding Hood lived on, a timeless reminder of the power of love, bravery, and the importance of always staying on the right path.